welcome to WarrenThornton.com. If you want to watch the show after the first hour, please go to Patreon and type in Warren Thornton or The Real Truth 502. Failing that, WarrenThornton.com above you. Well, failing that, of course, you can find us on X, on the lives and everything else. And, of course, we are joined on a Monday night by the wonderful and very erudite Paul Brooker from Viral TV. Good evening, Paul. How are we?
Good evening, everybody. I'm doing very well, Warren. And how the devil are you? All good?
Yes, managing quite well. And, of course, lots and lots of stories we've been breaking in the last 48 hours. Many of those that are coming home to roost. We'll be talking about all sorts of those. We will be showing you some videos that we cannot show on normal platforms because you will be taken off straight away. So after the first hour, please come across WarrenThornton.com. You want to see the videos that we cannot show you that would literally get taken down off YouTube and everywhere else, then come across to see us. Paul Brooker, good evening. You have a ton of stories for us, I believe. And of course, as usual, on a Monday night, we'll go through Paul Brooker's stories first. Paul, what's caught your eye so far?
You're going to have to give me 5 minutes because I've literally sat down and jumped straight on the live stream, so I haven't even pulled up my stories yet.
Well,
so you're going to have to give me...
Let me pull one up then for a minute while we're just literally looking at what's going on while you're sorting those out. And we have a major problem, and it is we're sort of going to get this off and literally running with this story. This is the train. This is the commuter train that, of course, the dastardly Russians went and bombed. Let's have a look at the full video. Watch for the secondary explosion. There we are. Now, this train, of course, we were told by the Ukrainians and, of course, Ursula von der Leyen, that this train was blown up by the Russians. There were loads and loads of people on it. There were actually 2 people on it in total. And, of course, it's not the first thing that we've had. Now, when you see the original video that they put out, of course, it's quite worrying because there are no carriages behind. All you can see is the one carriage there. They've taken this carriage away. And as you can see, there's a cage there and gun ports, which are covered in metal and gun ports to shoot from. Now, if you take away this caged locomotive and you just have that passenger car there and all the freight trains there, they took away all the freight trains. They took away most of the stuff there. They took away anything inside it. And, of course, just showed you the inside of what they then emptied as a passenger carriage. Of course, this is all fitting the narrative that is coming out. Now, you don't mind if the Russians have done something wrong. That's absolutely fine. But when they haven't and you're just lying through your teeth, that's pretty bad. And something else that is hilarious as well. They said that basically deep inside Ukrainian territory that the Russians had fired a missile at these houses, obviously. And, of course, it turned out to be absolute nonsense. It later turned out that this is actually a ventilation pipe. Quite worrying and quite troubling. Doesn't quite look like a SAM missile, does it? Or some sort of amazing thing. Sean Murphy, and then we'll go to Paul Brooker. Sean.
Well, the first point, Warren, was there was another train at that station, but it was on the other line.
It was.
And so it was, and that was a passenger train. But the one they hit was not a passenger train.
Exactly.
And the thing with that, the thing with that inverted commas missile that turned out to be a ventilation pipe was just a bit of old scrap metal. It was rusted to hell, and you could see the holes in it from the rust, and the inside was rusty. So to think that they try and get people to believe that was part of a Russian missile, I don't think so. Not in that condition. Even if it had been blown up, that was not a Russian missile.
Sean, you are such a Russian propagandist. Shame on you. one of those. Paul Brooker.
Well, one thing we know is they can't help but make stuff up. That's the fact. Drones, missile strikes, and then you can read the Ukrainian US registrations on them, you name it. This isn't outside their realms. And the problem is they think that people are stupid. They think that the internet is not full of people who will actually verify information. And that is what annoys them. So, you know, an air duct that's fallen off of something. I mean, come on, people. The scrap man, as someone said in the chat, Mark Onza, the scrap man's not on the ball there. Maybe it's just fallen off of a wagon and someone's just taken a picture and gone, oh, look, it's a rocket part. Mainstream media is just full of lies. Full of lies.
Staggering, isn't it? When you sort of look at that and you go, really, honestly? And of course, they're going to be talking about this for ages. And of course, it turns out to be complete nonsense, as per usual. It really does get quite to the point where you sort of go, really? Are we going to talk about this nonsense all the time, every time something like that happens? It is with the drones and the planes and everything else, Paul. It's becoming almost boring now. I know that sounds awful, but you know what I mean. There is so much propaganda nonsense from and it's really embarrassing. It's coming from our Western media.
Yeah, you're right. It is embarrassing. There is news to report. The problem is it's not the news they want to report. It's not the truth of the war crimes. It's not the truth of actually Ukraine is collapsing under the weight of the Russian advance. Yes. That's the truth. They want to act like that Russia's committing the most heinous war crimes. And let this be said, I am not saying there are not troops out there making war crimes, but it's not a conscious effort like the Nazi brigade that Ukraine has.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. It's quite ridiculous. Paul, you've got some stories lined up for us?
I have indeed. I haven't got loads, but I've got a few, if my computer will play ball. So, Starmer and the Labour government are coming after our cars. There's a few different rules they're getting ready to bring in.
It is bad news for drivers in the UK because they are thinking about bringing out cars with a 68 mph speed limiter on them. Well, they're not thinking about it. They've already started to do it. And this is all thanks to Renault. As you can see here, they have introduced a 68 mph speed limiter on some of their new models. As you can see, it says that this is to do with improving road safety, particularly amongst younger drivers. I personally already hate adaptive cruise control. I think it is the worst invention that's ever been made, and it just simply allows people to go on autopilot and not drive anymore. Sorry, I lost my voice, I got that passionate. So I think this would actually be quite a bad idea. What do you guys think?
I think it's a terrible idea because it makes you robotic, Paul. Makes you
robotic. Well, this is it, isn't it? You know, I mean, I can't wait for the day where I don't have to drive a car. I can't wait for the day. Because I could be sleeping or doing something that I actually quite enjoy. It takes a lot of your energy to drive a car. It really does. You know, I tip my hat to lorry drivers, and I understand why they need to take those 3-hour breaks.
Yeah.
68 mph speed limiter? I can't actually see a problem with that. It might reduce the fatalities we see on the motorways.
It's 2 miles an hour. I mean, I could understand if they were going to make it 55. 2 miles an hour is not going to make any difference at all, unless, of course, Paul, because they have, don't they? Maybe if they don't have a limiter on some vehicles and they have a limiter on others, they can then, of course, get you for speeding when you hit 70 miles an hour.
Maybe this is why they've never brought it in officially, because, you know, every car can do over 100, every car. So, you know, what happens when, dare I say it, as that lady just said, adaptive cruise control and stuff. What happens when those average speed cameras and all those things can't make any money for them? Then they're not worth doing.
No, they're not. So there has to be something hidden catch there, doesn't there? There has to be. You know, you've hit the nail on the head there. Lee Williams.
Quick one. Does that go for Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, Rolls Royce?
It'll be everything.
Yeah, okay.
They're simply going to go out of existence, aren't they? Because Ferraris and Lamborghinis, what's the point of building them if they only do 68 miles an hour?
Well, you'd end up with this underground, wouldn't you, of people de-restricting their cars and
Yeah.
a few of them sneaking out onto the roads and things like that. But then they'll bring the hammer down on them. But as you said though, what's the point in buying a supercar if you can't cheekily creep it up to a ton on the motorway?
Yeah. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? Sean Murphy.
Well, like you say, performance cars. What good is a performance car if it can't perform?
Yeah. And there's the other side of this. Sean Murphy's made a perfect point there. There is the other side of this, of course, Paul. That I know people who drive at 30 mile an hour and they're a danger on the road.
Yeah, see, I'm all for self-driving cars, but then I would sit here and I say that, and I'm like, if they want us gone, they can just flick a switch and the car will drive over a cliff, and
Yeah.
we won't be able to do a blind thing about it.
Yeah.
So,
Lock all your doors.
yeah, in the same breath, I'm like, it all comes down to who's controlling it all, doesn't it?
You'll be like that at the back window going, let me out, as you're heading over Beachy Head. I'm the idea of a self-driving car without a human guiding it terrifies me. It really
Yeah.
does. Oh,
Right, moving on to my next one. And as if they're not going after cars enough.
oh,
Sir Keir Starmer confirms that changes are coming for classic car owners in the UK. Starting in October 2025, the DVLA will introduce new rules that will affect how vintage cars are registered, taxed, insured and used on British roads. For many, owning a classic car has been a symbol of pride, with iconic models like the Mini, Jaguar, Aston Martin and Land Rover representing British history. However, the definition of what qualifies as a classic car is about to change. From now on, cars over 40 years old will no longer automatically be considered classics. Instead, they will need to meet certain criteria to prove originality. Modified or replica vehicles may no longer be classified as classic cars by October 2025. All paperwork, ownership transfers and logbooks will be fully digital. Failure to follow the new rules could result in fines and the loss of benefits for classic car owners. This marks a significant change in how classic cars will be managed. While some may see it as a way to preserve authenticity, others may find their vehicles no longer qualify for the benefits they once enjoyed.
now I've got some very strong views on this. I'm not a classic car enthusiast, right? A friend of mine, before I came out here, a very good friend of mine who's now passed away, huge car enthusiast, and he wanted to go to Wells Cathedral and at the same time have a look around Wells Cathedral. There was a classic car event going on, and he wanted to stay and watch it. So we watched it for 2 hours. I thoroughly enjoyed it, seeing all the old cars that I never, that I remembered Triumph Vitesse from when I was a small kid with a soft top, and many other cars whatsoever. I would say this, Keir Starmer, you are a joyless, ballless, soulless drain on humanity. These people do nothing wrong. In fact, their cars are immaculate. And you want to bring in all sorts of new rules. Honestly, this guy, the sooner he's out of office, Paul, this guy will take everything that you love and just turn it into some bland, woke, automaton type thing. No, this is individuality again being squat, and it's awful.
Do you know? Well, actually, we'll let Nilis go first, and then I'll say my. I want to dig deeper into this because I think this is a deeper.
But it's not.
Big-
It's not only Keir Starmer. It's whole United Nations directive, isn't it? For
The European
2030.
Union, everything. Yeah, I mean it's another taking away of your piece of joy, Nilis.
Yeah, it's like they're going to try and get rid of the car gradually. It's going to be taken away gradually, and because the whole idea is to try and get everybody to live in a city and have those cities connected by rail.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's what Sadiq Khan's in charge of with the United Nations city program, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll give you a heads up. Okay, when you see a Renault go by, you don't have any reaction at all. When you see a 1940s classic Ford or whatever, go by, you instantly look and it brings a smile to your face or some joy to your heart. The very fact that,
Yeah.
you know, they want this long line of just really garbage electric vehicles to go sliding by you. Unbelievable. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, I think when you're looking at people like Lord Montague, who owns the Bewley Car Museum,
Yes.
etc., and people like that, Lord Montague, this is not going to get a smooth passage through the House of Lords.
Well, one hopes not. One hopes not, because it's absolutely useless. Paul Brooker, you wanted to go deeper on this.
Well, let's not forget that for a while, the UK made some very good bomb-proof cars, as well as Europe. There was a phase where it was a rush to make good cars that lasted forever. No more of an argument than Volvos. I mean, they were tanks that ran forever.
Yeah.
Well, with all this agenda business going on, are we likely to see a whole train of cars that aren't really classics because there wasn't many of them made? They were just too well built. They won't die.
Yes.
And how does that throw their narrative out when everyone's gobbling up 30-year-old Volvos because they just run on petrol? You can fix them with a toolbox and off you went.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode well for them, does it?
You don't need 25 grand's worth of diagnostic equipment to work out what's wrong with it. Really, really simple. Mark Chamberlain.
Yeah, they can't turn my car off. A lot of cars are computerized now, and it can be done remotely, and they can change your steering, braking, gear ratio. You can do an awful lot of damage. I trust my car. I don't trust theirs.
No, absolutely right. Leave people's classic cars alone, you absolute bellend. Nillis.
Yeah, there are plans to scrap older cars, aren't there? And
Yeah,
there
there
are
are.
other plans. Of course, people get electric cars. Manufacturers have got to increase the sales of their electric cars, and the petrol cars. You were telling us about 2 years ago. The actual fuel tanks are getting smaller and smaller.
Yes,
they
are. They are absolutely that. And here's the thing, as far as I'm concerned, for these people, Keir Starmer will get rid of Keir Starmer before he gets rid of classic cars. SJ.
Hi, yeah, I'm just going to say we always run old cars. The youngest one we've got is 18 years old. I've got a mate that's got a classic. I think my son's is 1 year off being a classic. And you can do anything with a classic. You don't even need an MOT.
Yes.
It's honestly, you can just fix them yourself without any bother at all.
Yeah, yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? They are just so these people are so soulless and joyless. They don't want anybody, and this is something that I think is deeper, Paul. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is all about conformity and doing exactly what they want you to do. And you must do this and you must do that. And we want a whole line of people who don't do anything, you know, who just march along, take your Newsweek tablet, you know, listen to your government propaganda, all dressed in the same overalls, all have the same haircut. Tell you what, Starmer, go yourself. Paul Brooker.
Yeah, I think this is part of the bigger thing where they're eventually just ban classic cars on the road.
Yeah.
You'll only be able to drive them on private land. I honestly believe that is coming, and I don't think it's a million years away.
And I've got to say, Paul, that will be a very dark day for the UK when they do that.
Yeah, and they'll do it over safety. They'll use the word safety. That'll be exactly how they do it. Right, my next one, and I'm not really keeping up, but Gary Neville is a hot topic at the moment.
Nobber.
Former Manchester United and England defender Gary Neville has claimed that angry middle-aged white men are dividing the nation by raising union flags.
It comes after the sports commentator and pundit revealed he took down a union flag at one of his Manchester building sites whilst urging people to rethink what patriotism means. Let's hear what he said.
We're all being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing.
Well, the Communities and Housing Minister, Miata Fambula, joins us now. Does Gary Neville have a point?
I think he's really right that there are people who are trying to divide us at the moment. And look, we've seen this playbook before. Life is really tough for people across our communities. I spent a lot of time going around our communities.
You know what? We'll stop that there. No one wants to hear from her.
No, absolutely right. Let's get this out in the open. Gary Neville basically tried to blame what happened at the synagogue on middle-aged white men. Absolute bellend. This is a guy who used to stand there and not sing the national anthem. So I'm British and this, that, and the other. I tell you what, and then he lied through his teeth. Absolutely lied through his teeth when he said, I haven't seen an England flag in 10 to 15 years, and now they're using it for the wrong reasons. Every time England play in a tournament, there are England flags everywhere. The only reason you haven't seen one is because you're normally out of the country commentating on it. So please don't tell people what they do and what they don't do. You haven't got a clue about the ordinary working person. You are somebody who goes to the World Economic Forum. You are somebody who's very, very rich. You've made a lot of money out of hotels and everything. And what's more, you're a screaming Labour lefty. Don't tell the ordinary British working people what they are and what they are not, okay? Keir Starmer, the person you support, his policies of sending planes from Akrotiri, British planes, to help target bombing refugees in tents in Gaza is one of the main reasons why this has now come back to bite us in the arse in the UK, because you joined in, okay? And if you didn't join in, and if you were going to join in, why didn't you stop the immigration so that none of them could come over here and cause that problem? Or, and what were you doing? What were you doing not looking at a guy who, first of all, was in, had trouble for a sexual assault, and his actual name was Jihad? I mean, there was a big clue. Sorry, Paul, rant over.
No worries. And he might be blaming middle-aged white men, but we were little boys all sitting on our grandmas and our nans' laps when they were telling us about what our grandfathers fought and died for, what freedom meant, what safety meant. And there's a reason why us middle-aged white men are angry, because our forefathers died for safety and freedom in our country. And it's being handed away to illegal criminal migrants who put their passports in the channel because some of them are fleeing because they've murdered people, raped people. It's all coming out now because they're doing it in our country.
Yeah.
Our flag meant something. Our forefathers died for that flag. So I'm sorry, Gary Neville has probably become the second most hated person in the country.
I think very, very straightforward. If you ever watch his podcast or he's on Sky News, just get him out of there. Don't bother watching it. If it's his podcast, don't watch it. Nil us.
Well, I think we're getting closer and closer to a totalitarian state. And if we look at other totalitarian states, like the Third Reich or the Bolshevik state, they always had these apparatchiks who were spouting the propaganda of the time, and he seems to be one of them.
Yeah, and if Gary Neville, if you're listening, you know nothing about the white working class, man. You haven't been white working class most of your life. So do us a favour, stick to talking about Man United and leave the geopolitics to the people who actually have something invested in it. Okay? Rant over. Paul.
Right. My last story from the UK. Well, we heard about Tylenol in the US. Well, there's a new drug that's just been banned in the UK.
Doctor has issued a warning over the long-term use of omeprazole. The drug, often used for heartburn and acid reflux, is one of the most prescribed in the UK. But taking it for years without medical need can block vital nutrients like calcium, iron, and vitamin B12. That raises risks of osteoporosis, anemia, and infections. Experts say it should only be taken when prescribed, not as a stomach protector for heavy meals or alcohol.
It's one of those where I don't know about you, Paul, but before the COVID lockdown, and I'm going to be very, very careful here, before the lockdowns, I'm going to say before the lockdowns, people trusted their doctors and the drug companies. They no longer do.
No. No.
That's the simple fact.
But then I think that is quite a major thing, because it shone light on the lies that they tell, and people, you know, go back before that. You couldn't tell someone Tylenol could really, really harm your unborn child. Now, people are like, there's definitely some things wrong out there. I mean, I've been interviewing a load of doctors recently, and it's blown my mind how bad they are to us. The biggest thing of all, which I found out, you know, they're talking about we shouldn't be eating salt.
Yes.
Well, you have a major heart attack and they pump you full of saline. Saline is mostly salt.
Salt solution, yeah. Yeah.
So you tell me where the lie is, because I get excess.
Yeah.
But honestly, and this is my own true belief, think long and hard before you take any form of medication. Do you really need it? I had friends, they'd go to doctors over antibiotics.
Yeah. Yeah. The trouble is,
for a cold.
The trouble is, if you get these things, and I understand when we get to certain ages, everybody needs maybe something to see them through or whatever. I understand that. But when you get these neurotics, you just decide to go to the doctors, and the doctors go, "Oh yeah, nothing more, say for instance, than trans. I think you're trans. Let me, over the period of your lifetime, sell you $1.2 million worth of drugs." Lizzie.
It's Tom, actually.
Hello, Tom.
That omeprazole, Paul. Not only does it do all that, I was on it for 15 years, and believe it or not, I ended up with oral thrush. The doctor gave me medication to take away the oral thrush. Ended up in hospital with severe tonsillitis and quinsy. When I showed her what I had, she went, "That's renowned for causing that." She says, "I was put in a drip, saline. I was also put on antibiotics, and within 12 hours, I was totally cured." And as for the salt, anybody that watches James Martin on a Saturday morning, watch how much salt he puts on his food. Because the woman said, "I'm on a low salt diet." He says, "What for?" He says, "Salt's good for you." He's going to end up, unalived.
Yeah. Okay. Good point, Lee Williams.
I was just going to add exactly. This gentleman would know exactly what I'm talking about. Celtic salt is very good for you. Just as a guess.
Yes. Well, let's put it this way. If you take anything, literally, you could take eggs, you could take bread, you could take anything. I'll find you a doctor somewhere who's against it. Paul Brooker.
Yeah.
Well, Sean Murphy, very quickly.
Yeah, just a quick one, Warren. People who put salt on everything, my father used to do it. The thing is, in this day and age, practically everything you eat and buy, unless you grow it in your own garden, has got salt in it. You don't need the excess salt. You get adequate. Look at the labels on anything. You get adequate salt. You get quite a lot of salt in most products, most food products. So there's no point in smothering your food with salt, unless unless there's something really wrong with you.
Yeah,
most foods have got plenty of salt in it.
I don't smother everything in salt. I just put sugar on everything. Paul Brooker.
Right, my last story. And, well, France is in more trouble because, guess what?
The French Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, has resigned after less than a month in office. He became France's fourth Prime Minister in a year, but stepped down after political rivals threatened to vote against his new cabinet. The resignation piles even more pressure on Emmanuel Macron's presidency, and there have been renewed calls for a snap election.
There we are, and it's absolutely right. I mean, I've got a little something to add on this. Now, Sebastian Lecornu, who is, of course, the gentleman who has stepped down, has been made history. He has only lasted 27 days. That is the shortest term of any prime minister whatsoever. And of course, one has to blame Macron for this. And of course, this is just part and parcel of the bits of the EU falling apart. Sean Murphy and Paul Brook.
Well, he's done the Liz Truss, hasn't he? Except he didn't last as long. And we didn't think she lasted very long either.
No, and she doesn't. And of course, Le Cornu is even worse. Paul, this is, I'm not quite sure how many prime ministers we're on now, as Macron tries to hold on desperately to power. And of course, he wants to be head of the European Union when von der Leyen goes and works for Merz in Germany. The problem that we have here is you've got the left and the right, who are absolutely have had enough of all of them. And of course, the people inside the country have just had enough, full stop.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Warren. I mean, I think they said that it's the fourth prime minister France has had, and they wouldn't sign off on his new cabinet. I mean, it's a sorry mess of affairs in France right now. But then they're drowning under their own problems. And Macron, well, whether you believe his wife is his wife or his wife is his husband, I don't know. But, you know, they're not exactly squeaky clean. Him, his missus, and his government.
No. In fact, they're about as awful as you can possibly get. Let's have a look at this then. Thank you for those stories, Paul. Let's have a look at this then. Do the Italians have a heating crisis? No, of course they don't. Or do they? Let's get into this because, of course, we have been looking at this after it was highlighted to me by a friend of mine in Italy. And they said the autumn is arriving and the days are growing shorter, and we know that the cold begins to bite. In Italy, however, many people are not thinking about chestnuts or walks among yellow leaves. Their real concern is, will they be allowed to turn the radiators on without risking a fine? Now, in the country that likes to call itself the cradle of Western civilization, staying warm has become a matter of privilege, decrees, schedules, and controls. Now, the territory is divided into 6 climate zones, each with different rules from city to city. Lampedusa, Linosa, or Porto Empedocso, radiators can only be turned on from December the 1st to March the 15th for just 6 hours a day. In Palermo or Reggio Calabria, the limit rises to 8 hours. In Naples and Cagliari to 10 hours a day. Rome and Florence enjoy 12 hours of thermal freedom, while Milan, Turin, and Venice reach 14. Only in the cold alpine areas, such as Trento or Belluno, are there no calendar restrictions. And that's not all. The law sets the temperatures. Homes may not exceed 19 degrees C with a tolerance of 2 degrees. Commercial buildings, the limit is even lower at 17 degrees C. And anyone who breaks these rules risks fines ranging from 500 to 3,000 euros, with the possibility of additional local penalties up to 800 euros. So in practice, if an elderly person with a flu decides to raise the thermostat a couple of degrees, they risk paying more than a motorist caught running a red light. Now, newspapers complete the picture with the usual advice. Don't cover the radiators, close the curtains at night, don't leave the windows open, install smart thermostats because they can control it for you. It no longer looks like the life of a free citizen, but rather a handbook of a barracks. And then there's the question of cost. In December 2024, the price of gas for vulnerable customers exceeded 1.22 euros per cubic metre, up 4.6% from the previous month. Italy was the European country where gas prices rose the most, 16.5% in the first half of 2024. A typical family spends between 1,400 and 1,600 euros a year on gas alone, with daily peaks of 20 to 23 euros during the coldest months. For many, that means giving up hours of warmth just to avoid ruinous bills. The comparison with the people who were normally supplying their gas, which is Russia, is striking. Their centralized heating is turned on when the temperature consistently falls below 8 or 10 degrees and stays active throughout. There are no calendars, no fines, no fixed schedules. Heat is guaranteed as a public service, a social right, and does not depend on the mood of councils or ministerial decrees. What does it cost? Much less than Italy. For an 85 square metre apartment, monthly expenses for utility, heating, water, electric waste are around 11,600 rubles, or about 120 euros. Electricity costs 5.86 rubles per kilowatt, around 6 euro cents, while household gas is paid at less than 1 cent per kilowatt. In many Russian cities, centralized heating weighs only a few hundred rubles per month, figures that even Italians would envy in the summer. So the paradox is obvious. In Italy, anyone wanting to stay warm must respect timetables, climate zones, temperatures imposed from above, while spending thousands of euros on even heavier bills to run your heating for less time. In Russia, of course, where winter lasts 6 months and temperatures can drop to minus 20, apartments remain warm and families don't live in fear of searing prices. There is much talk of freedom, yet in Italy, people are not even free to turn on a radiator when they feel cold, in contrast where the others are given a heating guarantee as a service. In the so-called free West, warmth has become a conditional privilege. In the East, it's a right. Paul Brooker.
I did not know that Italy, you can't turn your heating on without facing a fine. My God, can people not see that they are trying little bits of their agenda across Europe? Like the leaders who report to the WEF are like, I'm going to do something good for my masters today. I'm going to do this to my people to get them used to not being able to have control over whether they're warm or not. Could you imagine that in the UK with the little old dears? What do you mean I can't turn my thermostat up to maximum? Are you mad? They'd be demanding it ripped out and a normal one put in. Oh,
I had no idea this was the case until a good friend of mine who's working in Palermo said, Warren, you won't believe this. Lizzie Gill and then Nillis. Lizzie.
It's Tom again.
Tom.
I'm a plumber to trade. And I can tell you that even like when you're at home now, have a look round. You tell me I'm wrong. 9 times out of 10, you'll find your heating radiator right under a window. So when you shut the curtains, the heat's just going straight up and out of that window.
Yep.
What a waste of money.
Yep.
If you want real heating, underfloor coil system, that way the heat rises up through the house.
Yep,
right,
absolutely.
Over, sorry.
No, that's absolutely correct. Thank you very much. We'll go Nillis, then we'll go Lee Williams. Nillis.
Well, I think also one of the main reasons is that because in Europe there aren't the reserves of gas and oil that there were. And that is basically because of the war with Ukraine. And they say it was only by chance that it was quite a warm winter last winter that we didn't have power cuts. They were expecting to have power cuts. And if it's going to be a cold winter this winter, we're supposed to be having power cuts as well. That's in Britain, and the rest of Europe is the same. It's not only to do with the the green agenda, but it's just to do with economics. And if Europe says we're not going to buy any Russian oil or gas, where are we going to get it from? But I've got a fleece blanket. I've got electric.
I couldn't get a word in. So it was. You know where you're getting it from. You're getting it from America at 4 times the price.
From Russia as well.
Ka-ching, Nillis. That's where your cash is going, Nillis.
I did find out the weekend that they're ramping up oil production in the North Sea.
I know. Isn't it great? Well, we'll be up to 12 barrels a week for long. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy, then Nillis can come back. Sean Murphy.
Well, the thing is, Warren, they do these things like, say, in Italy for the heating, and they report back to their masters in Davos. But the other people like Starmers and Macrons, they say, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'd
do.
do it in our country. Nobody's complained too much about it in Italy. So we'll do it in our country.
We'll give it a go.
They won't say anything. They won't know. And then somebody else in another country will bring in some other stupid rule.
Of course they will.
Or law. And that will
will.
spread around.
It's the Europhile game. It's what they do. Good point. Lee Williams and then Nillis.
Right. A quick one. Does anybody know that in 2030, it's a lovely time of the people that are actually meant to be banning, let's say, real fires, as in wood and coal and that? Just to let you know.
That's what.
Okay.
That's why they want you to have a smart meter, because so it can track what you're using in terms of therms in your house. And if they decide that you're using too much, just turn your smart meter off. If you haven't seen this coming, people, all these people who went out and got a smart meter, the meter's smarter than you are. Nillis.
Yeah, you were talking about North Sea oil, but we're still going to have to pay the market rate for that. So we won't get any cheaper bills.
No, you still have to pay, because America will buy it all and then they'll sell it back to you.
Well, yeah, it's owned by American companies, the most of the North Sea oil. But if we look at Norway, where the Norwegian government own the oil fields, their profits are put into something called the Norwegian Wealth Fund, and that supplies all the money for education, the health services, and welfare. And their health fund, their wealth fund is growing all the time, and they've got excesses of money.
Yeah, of course they have. Yes. JD.
I don't know if there's going to be what you call this power surge when everyone starts using Google artificial intelligence for search, the search engine thing.
Yeah.
And all the banks, we're going to have the same problem that they have in America, because we need heating in the winter. America needs cooling, and they have problems. I think we discussed this on the problem group before, but I thought we better put that back in again, because that's going to be the next problem, and they're going to make us suffer for it by turning our power off.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you know who's going to suffer for it? The people in the 15-minute cities are going to be the first ones to have their power turned off. The elites that live in the country, they're not going to have their power turned off. Their lights will be shining lovely and bright, JD.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Smart, self-monitoring, analysis, reporting technology. Come on, people. Really? Honestly? Absolutely bang on, the people who, have turned around and said that. There is no doubt whatsoever that this is going to be really bad. Oh, somebody else has put their hand up. MBIM.
Have you ever looked up the word smart and see the definition of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. One of those.
That's why they named it the smart system.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's a great call. It's a great call. Let's have a little look at this while we're talking about the UK. Let's have a look.
The UK is now the second most depressing country to live in officially. Taxes are at a post-war record high, up to 45% income tax on what you earn, then 20% VAT tax on what you spend. If you're a business, you have VAT, then 25% corporation tax, then business rates, then 15% national insurance. Then you've got council tax, road tax, car tax, stamp duty tax. There are 39 different taxes that you pay. The town centres are in ruin, they're run down, there's empty high streets and increasing homelessness. You get stabbed for a watch in London, and petty crime is now legal in the UK. The cost of living is soaring, and inflation has wiped out 35% of your money in the last 5 years alone. You work 3 days out of 5 for the government, and you pay £4,000 a year in government debt interest. Then when you finally pay off your house and you retire, you're looking at 40% inheritance tax. And this is just the beginning. The UK want to tax you even more, and they want a digital ID, and they want more control. There will be no cash soon whatsoever. You'll get imprisoned for your social media posts. You own less and less and less. You give away more and more and more. And people wonder why everyone's either leaving the UK or taking the streets to protest.
There we go. Paul, your thoughts?
It's all true. It's all true. We are very close to becoming a third world country. Petty crime is legal. You can steal up to £200 worth of stuff from a shop and the police won't even turn up. How phenomenal is that? And do you want to know what's going to happen? Digital ID. You're not even going to be able to step foot in that supermarket without a digital ID. That's how they're going to come about and save the day on crime in shops and all the rest of it. You're going to have gateways to go into shops. That's if there's any shops left by that point. It is a dark, dystopian future the UK is fast heading to.
And it's going to get worse. We're going to come to that in a second after we've heard from Lee Williams. Lee Williams.
Quick one. So is it still only 1,000 people coming into this country illegally? Just only as asking.
There's 1,000 people a day coming into this country illegally. That's it. End of story. So over the last 2 years, that's 700, over 700,000. That we know about. Let's get into this because that's gone a little bit off topic. Let's get into this bit here because this is troubling. Do you know who this is, Paul?
No.
Anyway, this is Scheinbaum, who is the head of Mexico. Of course, who's very, very pro-Israel. Who wouldn't be with a name like Scheinbaum? Now, what she is doing, Paul, is she as part. There is a law going through Mexico, and there is a UK parliamentary subcommittee keeping an eye and a track on this law. This law states that if you criticize or in any way denigrate Mexico's politicians, the minimum sentence you can get is 600 hours community service. But if you are, shall we say, what they would deem, whoever deems it, very, very horrible, you can get the possibility of 6 years in jail for criticizing a Mexican politician, Paul Brooke.
Wow. Just for having a say on... This world is going somewhere, isn't it, Warren? This world is going somewhere beyond belief. Technology is single-handedly allowing these people to do this thing. It's scary. It is scary what's going on out there.
It is. And if you will turn around and go, this is nonsense. Go check it out. You can get 6 years. Nicholas and Sean Murphy.
Well, one of the main complaints I think Mexican people have about the Mexican government is that the drug cartels have a great say in what goes on in Mexico. And it's funny that Trump's not complaining about that, is it?
No, so much for free speech. Sean Murphy.
Well, it just goes to show that worldwide that communism is taking over.
Yeah.
These are communist acts. This is pure communism.
It is. I think you're absolutely right. And we're going to get more and more of that. Have a look at this.
So the key here is don't get a real ID, get a state ID. Don't allow yourself to be passively dragged into this. Ask the questions. I would recommend that a passport card is a good thing to have and that it neutralizes this issue at the airport. They don't even mention real ID to you because the passport card serves that function without apparently collecting the extra data that's so frightening here. So
And, people have said to me, well, they have all the data, what's the big deal? And they have what they need. And I'm like, they don't. And the reason that they're lying and the reason they're exerting pressure is they don't have something that they want. And they want everybody in the Real ID. So what we need to do is make sure that we don't acquiesce to them and that we turn it backwards. And yes, get a passport card so you can sleep at night, right? So you don't have to worry. Right, but don't get a Real ID and give up your Real ID.
Excellent. All right. Very interesting that they have deceived us into thinking we are farther down this road than we are. Very interesting that this was moving slowly, dormant at several stages, and now is on the move again. I think that is our enemies accidentally telegraphing to us that they know that this has to be done now. And
well, and there's two things here. 44% of all IDs and state driver's licenses are not compliant. So we want to get it up, like I said, to 46 and 48 and 50, right? So that's about all the people who are listening to you making a different decision. But the other thing is, don't wait until renewal. Get it done now, because the DMV agents have gone rogue. We discovered that they went rogue between when all those 30 states said no, or 30 some states said no, and then Obama issued that call. During that time, even though it was against the law to conform or come anywhere close to Real ID, there was a tiny little Real ID office in the Homeland Security that decided to work directly with DMVs. So the DMVs were taking money behind the backs of their governors, behind the backs of their legislators, and they were moving their state toward compliance with Real ID without telling anybody about it. So the DMVs are probably going to try to shut down your ability to not have a Real ID, and you need to do this as quickly as possible. That's another reason to tell your state legislators that you want to get out of the Real ID system.
all right. Did you all get that?
Okay, so did you spot the hidden nonsense in that poll?
I got really turned about because it was like there was multiple levels of ID the way they were talking. And all I know is the UK's got enough ID. We don't need any more. Dare I say it, we've already got digital ID. What level this new thing's going to be, I don't know.
Yeah, they were talking there about a passport card, okay, which is a digital ID card in all but name. All you're doing is going, here's a passport card. What is it? Well, it's a digital ID card. Quite very, very straightforward. It saves you having to carry your passport about. Why do I need a passport card if I've already got a passport? I have a unique number. It is a national insurance number that identifies me. But of course, once you sign up to this passport card, have you got a passport? Yeah. Well, have a passport card. Okay. Have you got your passport card on you? Okay. If you haven't got your passport card, I'm sorry, you don't have access to this. You don't. It is the biggest see-through. And these people turning around and saying, oh, get one of these. Why do I need? This is the whole point of us resisting. We do not want another piece of identity, another identity card to carry around with us, Paul. Whether you call it a passport card or an ID card, whatever. I am not carrying around another piece of ID put out by a government. What about yourself?
Oh, do you know what, Warren? I've got enough ID. I've got a passport and I've got a driving license. I've got a national insurance number. I've got a birth certificate. How much more ID do we need? It's dribble. What I would like to think it is them just trying to find a new way to launder money. And they're just going to steal their money and it'll all fall flat on its face. What I'm worried about is to change an old system is very, very hard. To launch a new system with all the bells and whistles of carbon credit, social credit scoring, you name it, is easier for them. Is this where we'll see the passport, the driving license, the national insurance all go into this one?
Yeah.
That's what
You're
I see.
absolutely right. Before we get into the second hour, I am going to address this. Now, one of our patrons, I'm not going to name him, received this off of TikTok. Now, we are coming to hunt you down and kill you. The Mossad is hunting anti-Semitic like you. Now, normally this is people that are coming out with all sorts of nonsense. I will say this, if you're any kind of extremist, whether that be Muslim or Zionist, you deserve to be in jail, and very simply threatening people like that is quite disgraceful. But of course, this is starting to become something that is getting very, very worrying on TikTok already. We've got Larry Ellison in charge. People are saying this is the new TikTok logo for America, which is quite crazy. The problem that we have, they are already taking down any post whatsoever that criticize Israel. The fact that you can't criticize someone for something they are doing is, I mean, this is absolutely useless, isn't it? I mean, this is about as terrible as it gets. And we're going to have a quick listen to somebody who does really great on me, Ben Shapiro. Have a listen to this.
Well, the vast left in the United States has already been in Israel. There's a part of the right that is extraordinarily conspiratorial in its approach to the world and sees, forget about Israel, sees Jews as a sort of conspiratorial force in the United States, tries to manifest, tries to claim that all the problems in America are the responsibility of a foreign state or Judaism as a religion. And yeah, that's a conspiratorial force inside the right.
So there we go. That is Ben Shapiro, of course, who gets paid by the Jewish lobby. And the Jewish lobby, of course, you telling me, Ben Shapiro, that AIPAC don't exist in Congress? Really? Honestly, you're trying to run that by, and then you're trying to conflate that with religion. Ordinary Orthodox Judaism and Jewishness and Orthodox Jews are nothing to do with Zionism, okay, and Israel. Zionism is literally an ideology. Judaism is a religion. Paul, your thoughts?
I think you're absolutely right, Warren. And we followed the money. The money tells us that the Zionist, Israeli, whatever you want to call it, is bankrolling a hell of a lot of US Congress. Is bankrolling chunks of the UK. Why do you think Israel's getting such preferential treatment? I'm sorry, but the numbers don't lie. And I'm not anti-Semitic in any way, shape or form. What I am worried about is a foreign power having direct influence over a sovereign power, the US, the UK. How they're even allowed to donate money towards it, I don't know. It blows my mind. All corporate money should not be near anything political whatsoever. Full stop.
Yeah, exactly that. And just, we're going to lose Paul in a minute, but just I'm going to make this point before we ask Paul where we can find him. I'm going to make this point to Ben Shapiro. While the Israel-Iran 12-day war was going on, Israel agents were walking into Pentagon's secret, top secret, just basically not invited to Pentagon meetings, breaking into these or walking into these meetings and demanding all types of different action. That is a sovereign nation, okay, on somebody else's soil, going into their top secret headquarters and telling them what they should be doing. Tell me they're not interfering, Ben Shapiro. Paul Brooker, where can people find you on your social media?
Everyone can find me over on Brooker.tv. Viral TV is a new platform that is coming out where, dare I say it, we're going to see freedom of speech. But Brooker.tv is where you can find me.
Fantastic. Paul, thank you so much for your time. I know you've only got the first hour with us. Very, very busy man. Thank you for joining us, Paul. Mind how you go. Please go and give him a follow.
Take care, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye, man. So let's get into some other stuff then, because let's have something nice to finish the hour with. This is a Salt Lake, would you believe? This is a reflection off the water. Looks like it's hundreds of miles in the air. This is in China. And of course, we're going to show you a video on that in a second. But this is how it would normally look, as you can see. A very, very beautiful lake. And China are making lots of efforts. Now, these roadways, they are lifted a few feet off the ground. But of course, when the reflection comes through, and with the Chinese as well, with their crafty underneath lighting, are very, very good at making these sort of patterns. Now, of course, many times can you say that the Chinese do these things rather well and rather beautifully as well. For instance, have a look at this. This is a Chinese train station. It's only a 10-second video, But name me somewhere that's got a train station like this. Now, let's have a look at the roadway across the Salt Lake. Let's have a little look at this. Quite stunning. Of course, everybody thinks it's thousands of miles in the air or something. It's not. It's actually an optical illusion. If you've enjoyed the first half of the show, we've got a lot more to show you in the second half of the show that we can't show you. Thank you very much for watching. Do come across and join us at warrenthornton.com.